Hola. Yeah, I'm feeling really good today. A little bit cold, kind of can't feel my extremities because I'm refusing point blank to put on the heating. Nothing to do with the fact that I'm in emergency credit and I ain't got $1 to put on it, but no. You can't see that. There's like steam coming out my mouth. I could be breathing fire, couldn't I? Yeah, so I'm feeling really good. My little girl was at her paternal grandmother's last night for her 4th lot of Christmas presents, so it's cool. Meant to be working tonight and I've had my shift cancelled, so woohoo! I'm going to chill out for a bit. Yeah, but I thought I would try and kind of reiterate, if that's the word, kind of revisit the post that I did prior to my other one. Now, what happened is I did a 20-minute kind of spiel of blah blah blah, and I posted that, and then I had to cut it short because it got to 20 minutes. I was like, it's going to reject. I did kind of like a tag on saying, oh yeah, this is cool, and then, which was my last post, but didn't realise that actually the 20-minute post that I posted, something went wrong with my laptop and it sounded as if the whole entire thing was done in an alien voice, which is really cool, but it sounded kind of like this. Not good. It sounded like that, and I was like, well, I could just leave it and it could be kind of like, yeah, cool, but then nah, in reality it sounded, yeah, and maybe I needed more time to digest what I was talking about, so I've had more time to digest. I had a really good night last night. Like I said, I had the house to myself and I chilled out, and I didn't listen to any music. I've had a couple of days off music, just the music in my brain and stuff, so that was really cool. Burnt some incense, relaxed a bit, had an amazing dream. I'm still kind of coming to terms with it. All you Wolfronians, all you people from Wolves, all you people from Wolverhampton, I had a dream about Joey's Lane again. I've had dreams about Joey's Lane quite a lot. I think it's because I spent a lot of my childhood there and a lot of things happened down there. I had a dream many years ago about, I probably really shouldn't say this, about Quentin Tarantino and me down by the brook, which is a bit weird. If you're not from Wolverhampton, you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, and you probably don't give a shit anyway. But yeah, I had another dream about Joey's Lane. That was interesting. Only a few facts. I can only remember, I've had a good night's sleep, and I did dream, but I can only remember a few facts at the minute. One, that it was in Joey's Lane. But there we go. I woke up, I had a go on my tarot cards. We had a little bit of a bonding session. That was really nice. Had every intention of going back to sleep, but now I'm not working tonight. I'm kind of just chilling out at home. So basically, my post that was cancelled. Basically, I've been reading this book. Just over a year ago, about 18 months ago, I tried reading this book. Just over a year ago, my boy, who isn't my boy, but anyway, my boy kind of said, oh, have you read that book? And I was like, nah, it's too preachy, because where I was this time last year, I couldn't read it. It was like, I don't know, I brought it The Case for God. I wanted it to be kind of like a logical and kind of, well, God exists because of this. But obviously you can't talk about God in that way. My boy was like, oh, you read it? And I was like, nah, it's too preachy, but I have actually started reading it. And again, like my other book, like my instruction manual, I've read approximately that much, and it's already blown my mind, so I don't even know where I'm going to go from here. But there are a few interesting things that I wanted to kind of put out there. It starts off, the introduction's really good. It's based in ancient Greece, which, bear in mind, my surname's Brazier, I like that. Talking about Logos, this is how I read it, Logos and mythos. So Logos is essential for survival. It's reason, it's pragmatic mode of thought, it is organisation, it is being able to make efficient tools, It is about planning. It is about life. It is the way of living life that helps us to exist. But unfortunately, this logos that this book discusses has its limitations. Limitations being that there's no reason for human grief. It doesn't balance. Life is hard. Life is a struggle. And if you stick by logos, there's no explanation why bad things happen to good people. And the thing is, with this logos, if you live life in a logical kind of way, illogical things happen, and you can't explain them. My friends do this all the time. My friends will turn around, I'm trying to be a good person, but bad things keep on happening to me. I'm like, are you really being a good person? A dear friend of mine went out the other night, and I'm glad she went out, because she needs a good night out. And I was like, she went out with her estranged husband, and I was like, oh, how did you and your husband get on? And she says, oh yeah, he sat in the corner sulking, but it was cool because I was with my friend, and me and my friend were taking the piss out of everyone. And bad things happen to you, and you wonder why. But anyway, so with this logos, we also need mythos. Now, mythos, myths and legends. What is myth? I don't know what a myth is. But it's interesting. I read the book and it kind of told me a little bit, I think. Mythos is basically myths talk about gods. Mythos focuses on the elusive, the puzzling and tragic aspects of the human predicament. So that this time last year, maybe right, okay, I've got a slightly more enlightened way of looking at life now. Maybe I would like to think that Sally, angel wings, everybody shopping angel wings in Wolverhampton, when I first had the discussion with her about what I was and what she classed herself as and like, what's happening, she gave me oh, I've got a pen as well. Where's my pen? I'm so organised, it's untrue. My pen is gone. So basically she drew a yin and yang, black and white. She says, I am the white side. No, because white is good. This is just a symbol. I'm not saying white is good and black is bad. I'm just saying, right, okay. Black represents negativity, white represents positivity. She goes, I am white. I am positive. It's about getting rid of the negativity. So I'm like, yeah, cool. She drew a ladder. And she said, right, the ladder's got like 8 rungs. 8 rungs to this ladder. She draws an arrow pointing to just above the bottom of the ladder. She says, spiritually, this is where I am. And I'm looking at this woman thinking, oh my God, she's so sorted. And like, she knows what she does. She grounds, she meditates, she prays, she makes spells, she believes, and she's not even on the first rung of the ladder. So what's that say for me? But then that's cool, because I like to think I'm enlightened, but I've got a hell of a long way to go, and I'll probably never get to the top of the ladder, like none of us ever will. But anyway, yeah, mythos, they're stories, there's no logical reason for them, but they happen, and people believe in them. Oh, I've had a text message. I really should go airplane when I'm doing this. But anyway, so myths and legends, really interesting. Also, it links on nicely to, if I was organised. That's it, I'm done. Also, in the introduction, it discusses music. Now, I've always been a very musical person. I can play music. I can play guitar, I can play bass, I can play ukulele. I can play lots of things. It comes naturally to me. People have asked me, including my boy, he goes, so is your dad musical? I'm like, no, my dad loves music. My dad's a wizard, he loves music. But, he doesn't play guitar. I can't play guitar. Oh, shit. He's like, so where did that come from then? I'm like, I don't know. It's just come. So I look back in my family, and it's like, maybe it was my great aunt Mildred or something. I didn't have a great aunt Mildred. But anyway, yeah. Where does it come from? But music to me is probably just my way of, like, it was my way of being spiritual. Now I have a lot of ways that I can be spiritual, but obviously music was the catalyst that made me realise that I actually am a spiritual person. Music goes beyond the reach of words. In music, the subjective and the objective becomes one. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Language has limits that we can't cross. Speech so marvellously fails us. That's true, that. Speech marvellously fails us. Every day, music confronts us with a mode of knowledge that defies logical analysis and empirical proof. All art constantly aspires to the condition of music. So too, at its best, does theology. So, like, music is a way of thinking. Music explains things. Music. This is why I say I have meditated all my life and I've not really realised it. I meditate when I listen to music, because when I listen to music, sometimes I listen to the music. Sometimes I listen to the notes. And I think, God, that's really nice how they put that note next to that note. And then sometimes I'll listen to the lyrics, and the lyrics will call to me, and I'll be like, wow, and then my mind will go, and my mind will be thinking about what that person was trying to say through the lyrics. So, to me, meditation is not clearing my mind, it's putting loads of stuff in my mind and seeing what happens, and going with the flow. Life conditions us to, when we start thinking outside the box, to come back inside the box. Come back inside the box. I don't want to be inside the box. I want to go outside. So anyway, also there is an amazing thing that I want putting on my gravestone. I'm not going to have a gravestone. I'm going to be barbecued, as I have discussed in current sessions. Right. Basically, it was the impotence thing. Right, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I'll look in the book because I highlighted it, but then I highlighted a lot of stuff, so yeah, music, for me, it was the thing that kind of kicked me into spirituality. I wish I was so organised. This is the new organised Laura Brazia. Right, okay, yeah. This is rubbish. Okay, I will find that and I will post it next time. But basically, ecstasis, step outside the prism of ego and experience the divine. What lies beyond man's word is eloquent of God. Right, also in the introduction of this book, it discusses a exercise that people used to do back in the days of yore. It was actually, I think, 1500 BC, I do believe. Some kind of people that lived in 1500 BC. About how they kind of, there'd be groups of them, and they would go off and they wouldn't eat, they wouldn't sleep, sensory deprivation. I've done that for a long time and haven't even realised it. Sleep deprivation, oxygen deprivation, breathing techniques. I used to think it was cool that I could swim from one end of the swimming pool to the other end without coming up for breath. But actually I was depriving my brain of oxygen, so that's cool. You could claim I was brain damage. Most people probably would. But sensory deprivation. A group of people would go out, they would be deprived of food, they would be deprived of sleep. They would go out, and then when they were high, because their certain kind of elements of their life had been cut off, so they were hungry, they didn't have food, they were functioning on something else. They were ketotic at this point, because when you don't eat, you starve yourself, and the acids in your body kind of break down like your muscle, which makes you ketotic. So they were like high as kites, and then they would try and explain what God was. They referred to God as Brahmin. So, excuse me if I haven't pronounced that correctly. They would try and discuss what God is. what the meaning of life is. Of course, I'm using God. What is God? But yeah, they would try and explain what the spirit is. Someone would say what their thoughts were. Logically, they would say, this is what God is. The other person would be like, I don't think God is this, I think God is that. But I don't think God is this, I think that. So basically, they'd have a big old debate. Now, I've always said that I'm a master debater. I love having a good, not argument, but a good discussion on what is wrong and what is right. Because a lot of the time, what I think is right is wrong, but sometimes when I think something's wrong, it might be right. So they were discussing, this is what I think God is, this is what I think God is. This is what I think God is, this is what I think God is. And basically the whole aim of this kind of exercise would be to carry on discussing until it got to the point where somebody made a point and was like, this is what I think God is. The other person would think about what that other person said, and there'd be silence. Now that silence there, they would believe that that was Brahmin, they would believe that that is God. God is not logical. The spirit, whoever you believe in, is not logical. You cannot describe him. You cannot logically say this is what he is. So by being sensory deprived of certain senses, by being deprived of certain things that we need to exist as a human, they would then have a theological discussion, and the whole outcome of this is that speech is impotent. Impotence of speech. I often have said that I have verbal diarrhea. I just go and it's true. Most of my life I've been talking complete and utter crap. You may argue that I'm talking complete and utter crap now. I probably am, but I've read a book and it's really interesting, and I think you guys should read it too, and maybe you'll get different things out of it than I have. But yeah, the first kind of chapter, it was talking about art, about how a lot of cave paintings, about how certain caves in France, in the very, very first days when humans were just becoming humans as they are, would travel down into a cave and paint amazing pictures in candlelight, because obviously that's the only kind of light source they had, and to get to the cave you'd have to crawl through tunnels in pitch black, and as you were travelling down to the caves that are deep in the earth, it'd be pitch black, your senses would have gone, you would have feared for your life, but then you get through to a cave, and in the cave you lit the candle and you could see all this plain walls, and you'd paint the pictures that you see, you'd paint hunting, killing animals. It's like sacrificing, sensory deprivation, and then you become more creative out of it. So yeah, really amazing book. I'm going to stop talking now, and then I'm going to start talking again. Because I'm nearly coming up to 20 minutes. So, here we go.